This is CB Up for Discussion, a podcast series from Community Business where we tackle DE&I and wellbeing hot topics with special guests from across Asia.
Hi everyone, welcome to our discussion here in Community Business. My name is Ron Sampaga and I'm the Senior Manager, Consulting and Training at Community Business. I'll be your podcast host for today's episode. Today we are up for discussion with Innocent Mutanga. It is a very special episode as we celebrate Black History Month. Innocent Mutanga is associate at the leading financial institution and the founder of the Africa Center, Hong Kong, where he champions cultural exchange and community empowerment. A political activist from Zimbabwe, Innocent fled his home country and arrived in Hong Kong as a refugee 7 years ago. Innocent academic pursuits led him to study anthropology at the Chinese University of Hong Kong, CUHK, where he graduated before transitioning in the finance sector as an analyst. Despite his professional success, he remains deeply committed to social impact, founding the Africa Center in Chimchachoy. The center serves as a vibrant hub for cultural activities, fostering connection and understanding among diverse communities. An IVLP alumnus, a TEDx speaker, Innocent has shared his inspiring story widely, emphasizing the importance of rebranding Blackness and the human obligation to uplift others. His work has been recognized on platforms such as the Zubin Diversity List, and he has been featured in various media outlets, including the book Dear Hong Kong. Welcome, Innocent Mutanga, in our for discussion here in Community Business.
Oh, welcome. Thank you. I'm excited, looking forward to the conversation.
Thank you so much. To start off with, I would love to, for you to share your personal journey and your experiences as a Black individual living in Asia, and what challenges and opportunities have you encountered?
Yeah, thanks, Ron. Being in Hong Kong or in Asia overall, it's it's a very interesting experience. I would explain my experience in the form of two words. One is curiosity, and two, being cautious. And I feel like people, when they interact with me as a Black individual, there is a sense of like caution, in a sense, like, you're Black, so we could be dangerous. You could be, your motives might be bad when you try to interact with people, make friendships. So there's a bit of that suspicion or caution. But on the other hand, there's also curiosity. People want to know more, they want to learn more. They would, of course, see me as one exotic in the other, and they want to kind of like, get to know a lot more. So caution, curiosity has been kind of like the way I've experienced or how people have encountered a Blackness, which is me and everybody else around us. So with that, in terms of challenges as well as opportunities, can kind of frame it in from that angle as well. So that brings, from the opportunities perspective, that brings more opportunities to educate people, to expand people's views when it comes to global citizenship, when it comes to issues related to new ways of looking at things, whether it's in schools, whether it's in, so people want to know what they want to experience. Oh, it's different food, but still, African challenges sometimes, you feel like they outweigh the benefits sometimes, where people, the idea of caution, like, people go on the MTR and people stand up, run away, slap their nose, how difficult to rent a house, because, and they'll tell you, like, I don't rent to you because you're Black, so you see those kind of issues overall. But coming in as a person who probably come from a background where uncertainties were kind of common, it brings with itself opportunities around like navigating these dynamic Hong Kong. Hong Kong can be very dynamic, changes all the time. So people who don't come from a background like mine might struggle to survive in that environment. But for me, change is the only constant. So I find it easier to navigate volatile environments overall, because of me just being a Black person or being African.
Understood. Actually, I may have the same experience as well. Filipino working in Hong Kong, so I understand some of the challenges in a way during that time. Um, because of that, I'm very curious as well. What are some of your common misconceptions or stereotypes you believe people have about Black individuals in Asia, and how we can work to change these narratives?
One is definitely dangerous, poor. I don't always get the benefit of the doubt that I might actually be rich. Usually, the initial assumption is like, oh, he's a black guy, therefore he does not have a dollar sign on his forehead. So there is that, and then also there is other assumptions around, oh, maybe you are it could be too rough. Somebody, oh, I rent you my property, maybe that means you might destroy it. So you would see, I think the other one, which always come up, when I have conversations with other, especially people, they'll say, oh, people sometimes think like, oh, if you're black, then you must not be intelligent. Therefore, whatever you achieve, people assume somehow that you must have gotten it in some other nefarious ways, to be able to achieve certain things, which is quite misled. So it's like poor, dangerous, not intelligent, and maybe not careful enough, so you would see those, dirty, some people come in, they want to rub off the skin. They were like, oh, let's, is this gonna come off, like your skin, what if you wash it, is it gonna be clean? You'd see those as well. So I mean, the stereotypes definitely, keep popping up, in that way. And in terms of addressing those, I think for me, and also the work we do at the Africa Center Hong Kong, it's in two ways really. One is storytelling, and two is, providing African solutions, to challenge those perceptions. So storytelling, people love stories. Everybody loves stories. That's why we watch movies. That's why we read books. That's why kids like even to watch little shorts on videos on IG, etc. So we try to engage in more storytelling experiences, whether it's human libraries or just kind of like, an event where we just tell our experience, tell our things that we do, tell about, where we come from, etc. It does, challenge some of these perceptions. That's the good thing about being in Asia usually, because a lot of a lot of these perceptions or stereotypes are rooted in ignorance. So sometimes a little exposure can actually challenge these, stereotypes. I can't say the same about the Western world, but here I feel like change is a lot more easier to achieve than other parts of the world.
I totally agree when you mentioned about storytelling. It's through storytelling we're able to inspire people for them to connect as well, right? Oh, I experienced this kind of situation before, or maybe in the future, right? So totally agree with you about
Yeah.
storytelling.
Definitely. I mean, it really helps a lot. And then just kind of add on to the, African solutions, innovative African solutions point. For example, when somebody sees a black person or an African, not everybody sees me as a solution provider immediately. So there's that kind of perception. So when it comes to works, places, etc., people don't necessarily think like, oh, here's an African. Oh my goodness, we are good now. This person's gonna serve us. I mean, I can give one example. A Nigerian bank was opening its branch in Hong Kong, but it branded itself as a UK bank, to provide banking solutions. I'm like, why are you not saying you're a Nigerian bank? Because the branding is not so sexy, but they don't see them as people who provide solutions. But actually, we just provide solutions probably better than most people because of some of those, experiences as well. So by providing African solutions, whether it's well-being, aging, all these things, we're trying to rebrand how people think of blackness in a way that they realize, oh my God, this is a solution provider. So that means somebody sees me, they're not seeing somebody who's looking for food, they're looking for somebody who actually is going to bring solutions as well. So those are kind of like the way we're trying to address that as well. Yeah.
That's good. That's good to hear. So it's actually connected on my next question for you. It's like, in our research in community business about race and culture, we
Mhm.
found that the concept of race is not prominent in Asia. Instead, we must discuss homogeneity, ethnicity, or culture. In your experience, how do cultural differences impact the way racial issues are perceived and addressed in Asian countries compared to Western contexts?
I think probably a major difference between how race, ethnicity, etc., is discussed, or perceived across the different regions. I think here in Hong Kong and China, overall, there is an intersection with class. So there are associations when it comes to the darker your skin is, the less money they think you have. I mean, some of that also is historical. Let's say you take, for example, in Greater China, where peasants who are farmers, they will spend a lot of time in the sun, therefore the skin sometimes could be a little darker than those who are lazy and staying in their houses, right? The upper class. Therefore there's association that the upper class are light skinned, and the lower class, or the peasants, are the darker skinned. So there's an intersection in Asia between class and ethnicity or race, and that's why when I'm in Central Hong Kong, my experience is a little different than when I'm in Yuen Long, right? So when I'm in Central, people treat me very well, but they assume that I must have some money, but when I'm in Yuen Long, people not necessarily think, oh, this must be the African who is trying to just survive here, so you would see that. But on the other hand, if you are black and then you show your American passport, the experience or how they perceive you becomes different. If I show a Ghanaian passport or a Nigerian passport, then it's different as well. So the American one, elevates you a little bit upper into the stratum of who is more superior. What is an African passport? It lowers you further. So there is when it comes to the Western world, there's unlike weight in terms of class, I think there's the deep-rooted ideologies, which in many ways were perpetrated by religion, as well as views around like the inherentness assumption that a particular individual is born or is created less than the other person. So that becomes difficult because someone deep down thinks someone is inferior because of their skin color. Whereas here it's like, oh, as long as you got the money, therefore we're equal, or you are more superior than me. So you would see those, and that shapes one's experiences as well.
Yes, when you mentioned about the cultural context, like, the religion can impact that, the expectation as well in Hong Kong, especially Hong Kong is a very diverse city, right? People are coming from different parts of the world, right? So the expectation and the boundaries really plays a part, and of course the intersectionality as well, right? So you have your own journey of social mobility from being homeless when you first arrived in Hong Kong to now working at a top investment bank. What have been the key factors or policies that have supported you on this journey?
Um, I think I think when it comes to things that have supported me in this journey, I mean, in short, I think it's going back again to the qualities, like resilience, which I think is a thing that a lot of people struggle with. But I think it's so there's that, these qualities, and then there's also people. Like I mean, the people around. Hong Kong, does produce a very phenomenal group of people. Like people who come here, they come in different shapes in terms of how you deal with them. I remember early on, one lady, reaching out, like, oh, I would, I heard about you from this professor, who also was a friend of mine at the university, and would really want to see if we can work something together to support you, in your path. That was to me, in some way, gave me a lot more faith in individuals as well, and we worked very well together, and the support that came in, not just in terms of resources, but also in terms of network, which is also resources, and just the support emotionally. Because when you're coming in, you're homeless, people don't necessarily think most people think you are in there because of you deserve it. You must have not done something right, or you are lazy. That's why you're in that position. But far from the truth, circumstances instances can actually share people's experiences in a sense. So there are people who are choosing to believe in me on every stage, whether it's my friend Chantel, the one I'm talking about, whether it's Professor Gold Matthews, who was the professor later, and a lot of other individuals. For me to get into like education, and then there were a lot more people also who were coming in, say, I gotta mentor you when I get into the industry in finance, whether it's social entrepreneurship as well, kind of, the work we do at the Africa Center. So there was, I think the key theme in this is just that there were people who were choosing against all the assumptions that are there, that let's believe in this let's believe in this individual. So I think that was key to getting to where I am, in addition to the resilience and persistence. Probably that was the most important thing, just kind of keep on and keeping on, pushing and educating myself. But there were not like necessarily any particular policies which had like government, etc., which I felt like were in any way helpful to me.
Right, right. Especially right when we're talking about people, it's really about surrounding ourselves with the right people, with the positive people. But of course, we cannot control maybe those people gonna be saying negative about us, but it's about believing to ourselves, believing to those people who believe in us, right?
Yeah.
So it actually, because right now, because you created like the Africa Center, which is, there's a group of people. So let's talk about that space and how do you see its impact, which is the Africa Center? How do you see its impact and social mobility for Black individuals in Hong Kong?
Yeah, I mean, it's so the impact is two ways, right? The impact within the Black community, the impact within the non-Black community, whether Chinese, Filipinos, Indonesians, and Indians, etc. So it's kind of like two ways. So from the impact within the non-blacks first, it's a lot about perceptions, the perceptions of Africa, of blackness, and in turn the perception of themselves, because usually the way you perceive somebody, it's nothing to do with the way you with that person, it has to do with how you perceive yourself. So it does actually has been a good thing in that, for that. And then in terms of the Black community itself, so there are two things. One, the perception thing that we're addressing, within the non-Black community, it's also opening doors for the Black community, because people now realize, oh, okay, it's not like all these things I'd imagined, but nobody walks around saying I'm a terrible human being, but unfortunately that's the blind spot, right? We don't see our terribleness, but it's not easy. So there's that as well, which is helping in terms of career, also building out the network, because when somebody is here, it's always kind of like that kind of tribe thing, right? Like people have their own people, and they don't actually open up to more. So getting people who give access to these communities, so the platform serves as this kind of connection between communities, and then that connection then grows into something else. So we've seen people, now dreaming into like doing better jobs. People initially, some people with PhD will be washing dishes, pushing trolleys, which is totally not right. But now we're seeing that people are realizing that it's possible. So it's giving people hope, faith, confidence within the Black community, as well as also just the actual opportunities. So we're seeing some of that, people getting into better, well-respected career, which actually they should have been getting into in the beginning. So it is helping in that sense.
Right. I think it really gives, opportunities for Black individuals, having this Africa Center who supported them. So can you share some of the initiatives or programs at this Africa Center that aim to support and empower the Black, diaspora in Hong Kong?
Yeah. So our projects, you could think of them in like, for the Black community, you got the one that brings the community together, and then the one that enriches the mind, and the one that plays as a platform to something else, whether it's a career or a job. So starting with the ones that brings the community together, so we can do some meetups, where we would meet up the professionals, and then we'll meet up a particular group of individuals, whether the female Black community, and then they gather up and then cross over with something like we do like book clubs, African literature book clubs. So those are some of the things that people can join, and these are not just exclusive to the Black community. Anybody can join. We got book clubs, and then we got children's clubs, like kids club, children's book clubs as well. So parents, they bring their kids to this kids program, and then they connect with each other. Of course, as they are connecting, they are enriching also themselves, whether it's discussing a book. We've got some of these movie screenings that we'll do to try to bring the community together and have discussions and connect, and then move on to something else. So that's like some of the connectivity around that. And then we've got the one that sort of enriches, gives you a platform forward, which is like career workshops. So we will bring in people from different industries. We discuss, we work on CVs together, applications. And then for entrepreneurs who are trying to start a business, and new initiatives, we connect, we train, we connect with mentors, and also assist in terms of like exposure, whether it's through just showcasing some of the work that they are doing through bazaars or websites or social media, and bringing people to the different businesses as well. So it's kind of like a whole package, from let's connect, or let's build each other up, and let's give each other a platform. And hopefully once you get the platform and you're doing well, you can also, stretch your hand back and say, hey, I also want to give somebody a platform. So ideally, we're hoping that it will, get into something that's actually going to be sustainable and have a long-term impact.
Yes, I really like the program you mentioned about the book club, and at the same time on where children are connecting to other children. I always believe children is our future. So I can feel that programs that you just mentioned is a long term, right? We're not only thinking about now, but how about the future generation,
Yeah,
right?
definitely. It's I think something I've learned from people who have done very well, like the Mandelas, etc., in the past, is that the change is not just about now. The change we're looking for is the change for the future. Sometimes we are very short-sighted as human beings, that we want change to happen and us to benefit, who are the ones that are fighting for the change. No, it doesn't work that way. It never should work that way. It's usually about the future that is coming, and that keeps us humble, and that keeps us our strategy also in check as well. So it's like investing in these kids, and hopefully, if you look forward in the future, they're really going to have a better a better platform. For example, we've been pushing for for schools to incorporate African literature in schools. I'm not going to be the one that's going to benefit from this, but my kids or my kids' kids are going to be the one that are going to benefit from classmates who have better understanding of Blackness, classmates, teachers who have better understanding, principals have teachers, and a society that's also well developed. Not like the first Black person they meet is that person. They never had any experience of Blackness their entire life. And then when they are a nurse or a doctor, that's the first Blackness experience they are seeing is that particular person. It shouldn't be that way. So we're trying to build things definitely for the future. Yeah, now we can get some short-term benefits, but it's really, really for the future.
Yeah, totally agree with that. So, because of that platforms that you have, those initiatives that you have, talking about the future, in what ways do you think Africa Center can leverage its platform to amplify the voices of Black individuals and address racial issues in Hong Kong?
Yeah. So so when it comes to these issues, right, you've got racial issues. There's perception issues. There's opportunity issues. So uh, uh, the perception issues, we work with the community. We go out and do the storytelling that we were saying earlier. We go out to provide African solutions out there. We brought, these are like things that are challenging the perception. But then there's the opportunity issues / platform, issues where they feel like there's a lack of platform for people. Like some black kid has a talent in photography, but there's just not enough mentors, or there's not no equipment, like all those things. So these are like platform or opportunity issues that we also work to close through, whether it's bringing in that community that can actually look into supporting some of the young people as well. Because my belief really is that when it comes to empowerment, what people usually get wrong is like the first thing they want to, let's teach you Cantonese, let's teach you whatever language it is that the dominant group speaks. I'm like, yeah, that's good, but really, if you want to raise confident young people, confident people within their own ethnicity, you shouldn't just be integrating them first. Try to empower them through entrepreneurship, supporting their entrepreneurship journeys, etc. And then that can then convert into actually a better empowerment when you actually, integrate them in the community. So I mean, we're just going to continue with the, challenging perceptions and also providing a platform for Black people as well, through the storytelling and all these solutions, that we're doing.
That's good. That's a very good, way to do things. We're coming to the end of our podcast for today. So this will be my last question to you, Innocent. So after all those journeys, those stories, all those experiences, so I'm very curious and I would like to understand from you, like how organizations and communities in Asia or in Hong Kong better support Black individuals and promote inclusivity.
I think how to support, really, I think it's in terms of opportunities, and chance. For example, if you're a big corporate, right, like you have vendors, you have events, and then you're doing food events, it's easy to just go and get Maxim and do your catering. But what value are you really adding to the society? If you think in terms of value, in terms of social impact, not so much. I mean, whether you have bought from them or not, it was not going to really make any difference. But could you imagine if you have an event you're hosting, and then you bring in an organization or a group of individuals that are actually, helping to support the community that are falling through the cracks, that will really go a long way. That will really go a long way. So I think, like, what I think people should start doing in their own capacity is just to look for these opportunities, like, in terms of, how can I be inclusive? It's all there. It's all wherever people are. It's just kind of making that, conscious decision to say, okay, how can I diversify this? How can I also have more social impact? To just think about social impact, before people actually do things, it will really go a long way. It's easy to just do the most, convenient thing, even if it's low quality. I've seen that in Hong Kong. It's just like, oh yeah, we're just gonna work with those ones because that's convenient, or we worked with them for the past 50 years, but why not look elsewhere and see what else you can actually have? So I really, really hope those kind of, opportunities, benefit of the doubt, not just assume that, oh, because the person is Black, therefore they must not be able to deserve something. So I really kind of hope that those opportunities keep coming up, and that will really do a much benefit within the community.
Thanks for sharing that, Innocent. There's a lot of things that we could actually discuss other than this. But thank you so much for your time. I've learned a lot from today's episode, and I hope this is not our first and last conversation. There's be a lot more. May not be here in our after discussion, but maybe we can see each other and keep in touch as well. And I'm very interested and I'm very curious on what else we could share to the people about how we could support Black individuals and promote inclusivity. Again, thank you so much, Innocent. It was nice speaking with you and hope to catch up with you very, very soon.
Oh, thank you. It was an honor.
Thank you for listening to CB Up for Discussion. For more information about our work across Asia, head to the Community Business website.